Pinball didn't evolve into solid state. It didn't want to. It was dragged there by economics, uptime, and operators who were tired of fixing the same damn problems every night. By the mid-1970s, electromechanical pinball was still fun, but it was also fragile, labor-intensive, and expensive to keep alive. And next door in the arcade, video games were quietly proving something terrifying. You could make money without moving parts. Okay, here's the part pinball history loves to romanticize. Electromechanical games were beautiful. They were tactile, they were understandable, they were also a service tech's nightmare. And by the 1970s, that nightmare was ridiculously long. By that point, EMs had massive relay banks, stepper units that hated humidity, score reels that wore constantly, wiring looms aging out in real time. Operators weren't collectors. They weren't preservationists. They were business owners. And downtime kills nostalgia fast. Pinball didn't start losing players first, it started losing patience. Early solid state just wasn't trusted. Early boards failed a lot, documentation was thin, techs didn't know how to diagnose logic. You could fix an EM with a screwdriver and a file. You couldn't fix a dead MPU with hope. So manufacturers didn't roll out solid state like a revolution, they rolled it out like a liability test. Bally was the first major manufacturer willing to test solid state where it mattered, on location. Not confidently, not cleanly, but publicly at least. Let's be specific because details matter. Bow and Arrow from 1975 was technically their first game with 17 solid state units made. That's not really a product, that's a lab experiment shoved out into the wild. Freedom in 1976 was a conservative, safe bet. Let's put out some EM versions and some solid states and see what happens. Knight Rider, the same idea in 77, the same hedge bet, but then comes the one that actually matters. In 1977, Bally released Evel Knievel. Evel Knievel is where Bally stopped playing small. Big license, huge public recognition, real expectations, and Bally did something bold for the time. They let solid state stand next to EM on a proven earner. Same game, same layout, same art, different guts. And here's what happened. The solid state version stayed up longer. They needed less service. They earned just as well. That's the moment solid state stopped being a novelty and started being credible. Evel Knievel didn't make solid state exciting, it made it acceptable. These games didn't change how pinball played, they changed who trusted it. Players didn't demand solid state, operators did. That's the part nostalgia skips. Solid state didn't win because it was cooler, it won because it cost less to keep alive. And while Bally tested publicly, Gottlieb stalled. Gottlieb's dual format list is long and revealing. Cleopatra, Charlie's Angels, Dragon, Joker Poker, Sinbad, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Solar Ride, same pattern every time. EM version, SS version, identical layouts, EM era rules, solid state doing nothing really but counting faster. That isn't innovation, it's a company saying please don't make us choose yet. Gottlieb didn't distrust solid state because it failed, they distrusted it because it wasn't mechanical. And by the time Solar Ride rolls around in 1979, the rest of the industry has already moved on. Gottlieb wasn't wrong, they were late. There's a myth, I hear, that says Williams led the solid state revolution. They didn't. They watched it. Williams' early solid state efforts are mostly prototypes. Aztec, they made 10 of them. Grand Prix, there was 5. That's not market testing, that's internal panic control. When Williams finally lets solid state games out in public, it's cautious. Hot tip as EM and solid state, Lucky 7 with a token EM run. Williams didn't want operators choosing, they wanted solid state to survive quietly, and here's the irony, the company that would eventually dominate modern pinball spent the late 70s waiting for someone else to get punched first. This is why Playboy matters. Not because it bridges anything, because it doesn't. Playboy is solid state only. There is no EM version, no safety net. By 1978, Bally wasn't hedging anymore, they were committing. Playboy is strategically boring as hell. Safe theme, familiar layout, EM style rules, immediate player understanding, and that's the genius. Playboy told operators, this is still pinball, you just won't be fixing score reels anymore. With over 18,000 produced, this wasn't an experiment, it was a line in the sand. Electromechanical pinball didn't die because people stopped loving it. It died because it couldn't compete operationally. Solid state didn't kill pinball's soul, it killed inefficiency, and only after that did pinball get creative again. Pinball definitely didn't become better overnight. It became sustainable, and that's what saved it. This episode kicks off a brand new series where we're tracing the birth of solid-state pinball, how the industry moved from relays and score reels to boards and code, and why that awkward early era matters so much. We'll be digging deep into the first solid-state designs, especially Bally, which is still my personal favorite, because these games aren't just historically important. They're hands down some of the best machines ever made to learn pinball restoration, repair, and real-world servicing on. Simple rules, honest layouts, brutally clear cause and effect. If you can understand these games, you can fix almost anything. Thank you guys for watching. Captain out.
CaptNRetro, it's CaptNRetro show. CaptNRetro, it's CaptNRetro show.